I'm Greg Jarrett, and you are in the strategy room. Florida is a very competitive state in the general election, and it seems increasingly likely that the Sunshine State could also be center stage during the GOP presidential primaries. Floridians Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush each have strong support in the state and are trying to court support among Republican donors as well. Both are seen as having a good shot at the nomination. Does either one have an advantage over the other? Joining us now to talk about it, Eduardo Gamarra, who is professor at Florida International University. Professor, thanks very much for being with us. So what about that last question I posed? Does one have an advantage over the other, Rubio versus Bush? What do you think?
Well, they both come, into this race with very interesting and very related backgrounds, and it's important that they one, in fact, is the mentor of the other, and both obviously have had a very, very distinguished career in Florida politics. So they have these incredible similarities, this relationship of mentorship and so on. And in the end, you might want to ask whether Rubio's ethnicity gives him an advantage over a specific portion of the electorate.
Right. And I was going to ask that. What do you think? Does it give him an advantage?
Well, what we know also is that Governor Bush, may have slipped in his registration and registered as a Hispanic, but apart from the slip, he has some very, very deep roots with the Cuban community as well, to the point that many Cubans consider him, one of their own. So I think it's going to be interesting, and in the end, probably I would say that Cuban pride is going to be more important than the identification that Mr. Bush has.
What about in terms of fundraising? Look, it is well known that having had a father and a brother, both presidents, that Jeb Bush can hook into that money-raising machine. Does that give him an advantage, or a tremendous advantage, perhaps, over Marco Rubio?
Yes, but I think you have to look at it not only in Florida but nationally, because I think if you think about just Florida, fundraising for Florida, this is really part of a national effort. And right now, although it's still very early on, Mr. Bush has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to raise funds precisely for the reasons you have just said. But also, Senator Rubio, very early on, is demonstrating also that he can fundraise. My sense is that that tremendous network that the Bushes have is probably going to top Republican fundraising next year.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a close race in Florida. And again, as I said, is it the ethnic identification that's going to drive one segment? What about North Florida? And how is the traditional Republican vote going to go? And is that more likely to go with the Bushes? So I think we'll have to do a lot more research and find the appropriate polling.
Let me throw up on the screen, just for reference for our viewers, this is Real Clear Politics poll average nationally, not Florida, but nationally. There you see Jeb Bush on top with 16%, and you got to scroll all the way down next to the bottom. Marco Rubio with 7.3%. Now, that may be a function of the fact that Rubio is lesser known outside of Florida, so name ID counts for a lot in the other primary states. But is there an issue that Rubio may have an advantage over Bush or vice versa? Can you pick a singular issue that says, hey, this candidate has an advantage in Florida?
It's as I was saying earlier, I think both have that appeal to a specific segment of the Latino or Hispanic population, and and that's what everybody is sort of pushing out there as both of these candidates' advantage, not only in Florida but nationally. And I think that's a rather questionable proposition, because what we also know from polling is that Hispanics are largely Democrats outside of the Cuban vote, And even within the Cuban vote, what we have seen in the last couple of elections is a move over to the Democrats. So I think, when it comes down to it, I think basically, ethnicity might give Rubio an advantage here for the Cuban-American vote, but the other Hispanic vote in Florida may not go with Rubio precisely because he's seen as more, closer to the Tea Party, actually, and on immigration issues. So it's not that clear, really, and both candidates are going to have a very difficult time courting precisely that segment which the Republican Party believes both possesses an advantage.
Eduardo Gamarra, professor at Florida International University, live from Miami. Thanks very much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Check out foxnews.com for more on the 2016 race. I'm Greg Jarrett. Thanks for watching.